kind of cleaning up your loops, your folders before you turn into processing. So sometimes when you're writing an offer or maybe receiving an offer on your listing, when you're going back and forth with the other agent, you might wind up with a few different versions of the same form or multiple versions of forms from the different companies. So when you turn in your file to processing, you can always reference this residential file order. I'll go ahead and open this up so you can see it. So when we're representing the buyer, these are the forms that we want to see in the order that they want to be in. If you're representing the seller, you're going to have two different folders for your listing documents and your accepted purchase contract documents. So let's make our loop kind of match these folders right here. In this example, we are working with a buyer, so we have our offer documents, a few addendums, we've got the disclosure, things like that. You can see up here we've got our contract, initial offer, our counter offer. When we sent this purchase agreement back and forth between the other agent, we had a few different versions of it. But I know that this contract right here is the final executed version. So what we could do is take these other two and use these three dots over on the right side of the screen to either rename or archive this file. So let's go ahead and hit archive and just see what that does. That's just going to take it out of the file. If you ever accidentally archive something that you didn't mean to, you can always use this show archive button right up here, and then it's going to come right back for you. Let's go ahead and archive this other one. Since this is not an executed offer, we don't need it anymore, so we'll go ahead and hit archive. And now we've got this other file. We're not really sure exactly what it is, but I do remember when I uploaded this was the lead-based paint disclosure. So let's go ahead and rename this. You can just double click that and start typing. And then we've got a few different addendums here. We've got one where just the buyer signed. This one is executed. So let's go ahead and archive the one that's just signed by the buyer. We've also got two forms here, a letter to the seller and the pre-approval letter. These you may want to hold on to just for your own files, but these are not forms that need to be turned into processing. So what can we do with them? Let's create another folder. Right up here at the top, we'll hit add folder. And let's rename this to miscellaneous documents. So we don't need to turn in our letter to the sellers or the pre-approval letter to processing, so let's move this up into this separate folder so that we can hold on to it for ourselves, but just keep it separate from our executed documents. And now it looks like we have cleaned this up for the most part. I do see, let's see, this is an affiliated business disclosure, and so is this one. This is our PJ Morgan affiliated business disclosure, and this is from the cooperating agent company. So let's just go ahead and rename this so we know which one's which. And let's say we're working with a Berkshire agent, so I'll just put BHHS there. We can even take it a little bit further and go affiliated business. You'll also see some of these grayed out lines on here. These are just placeholders for your seller disclosure, your lead-based paint disclosure. So we can either just use these as they are since we know what they are by the name, or we can also drag and drop these onto those placeholders so that it takes over that file name. Let's do that same thing with the seller disclosure. Alright, so we've got this pretty much cleaned up, but let's just put it in the right order so that when processing audits our files, they can just go right down the order and make it a lot quicker and easier on them to go through everything. So we can drag and drop that agency disclosure right here. And then we're going to use the contract, addendums. Put the seller property disclosure here. Cost sheet and escrow instructions. And I want this to go away. This is just a reminder for you to use this folder to upload your initial documents. But just to clean up my file a little bit more, I'm going to go ahead and hit archive right there. And I'm done with this residential file order reference. I've got my file in the correct order, so I can go ahead and archive that too. And now we are ready to turn in our file. So we could take all of these, drag and drop them onto these placeholders. That is an option. Or if you want to, we can also rename the folder. So let's click these buttons right here and just rename this to the same folder name down here, Final Purchase Contract Documents. Now that we have this folder named and we have all of our forms in the correct order, we don't need this folder anymore. So let's just go ahead and archive that whole folder. And now our loop is all cleaned up in the correct order and ready for processing to audit and do everything they need to do with it. So let's go ahead and hit submit for review. You'll put in all of the property information. Most of this should already be there if you filled in your contract through .loop. And then we're going to select which folder that we want to turn in. So this miscellaneous documents folder has the forms that processing doesn't need to see, but these are the forms that they need to audit. So let's click Final Purchase Contract Documents, and then you'll go ahead and hit submit. If you guys have any questions or want more training on how to clean up your file orders, just let me know. Happy to help.